Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. As Bhai Tarsem Singh has just announced, this topic, and it's a very, very difficult topic. I don't think I could cover it. I don't think I've got enough the ability to cover this topic. But what I'm going to try and do is, based on some of the things, trying to research through and trying to understand this thing called me, I, home, what Guruji discusses inside of the whole of Gurbani. What is that thing? And if we want to progress in our Sikhi in any way, then we have to have a full understanding of that. And I hope that that's kind of like my objective, is that hopefully everyone in the room should learn something that perhaps they hadn't considered it in the way that it may be presented. That's kind of what I'm aiming for anyway. So I'll just run through what the content is. Something to consider. I've just got a little kind of like quotation. If we all look through that and see where we start, and I'll come back to that at the end and see if you've got a different understanding of what that quotation is. What's the big deal? So, this thing called home and me is the basis of all our lives. What we try to do is say that's our human instinct. We should all have a bit of maleness, a bit of homeness. Is that what Guru's saying to us though? So that's what we're going to try and understand in that section. Home and Hankar. Now I think there's some misconceptions here. That's an interesting aspect of home. What's the difference between home and Hankar? I mean, as Gursikhs, a lot of people here probably Amritaris as well. Could you give a differentiation between the two things? So we'll cover that there. The best way to try and understand it is to try and run through some real life examples. So that's what we'll do in the next section. Then a time to think. So there's going to be a bit of interaction there, not necessarily two-way, but it's a time for everyone to kind of consider it and think about what we've discussed so far via the examples as well. Some of the roots of home, according to Gurmat, where's this home starting from? What's the cause of that home? Home and Maya. So there's some terms. I don't know if everyone's familiar with some of these terms. I'll try my best to try and cover the terms. Like Maya, perhaps some people don't know what Maya is. Some people might not know what Hankar is, or I've just been talking about. So I'll try and cover the terms. If I don't, please just interrupt me and say, what can you just expand on that word? Home and Nam. So this is a very, very key concept. I mean, a lot of people here may do Simran. Now, what our Guru tells us is that the two things are opposing. You can't do one and the other, mutually exclusive things. So we cover why those things are mutually exclusive in that section. Is there such a thing as good home? So that's another thing. Could home be good? Changing your thinking to try and make us move more in line with what our Guru wants us to do. And finally, just a very brief conclusion. Like I said, I don't think I could cover everything about home. I don't think I could give you a conclusion. I don't think I'm capable of doing that. So again, it's just food for thought for us to understand perhaps our day-to-day things that we're doing. Are we doing them in a way that at the end of the day we're going to regret that at the end? So here's something to consider as a start point. So whatever you hold in your mind will tend to occur in your life. If you continue to believe as you've always believed, you will continue to act as you've always acted. If you continue to act as you've always acted, you will continue to get what you've always gotten. Now, that's quite deep. If we try and understand that, what have we got so far? What have we achieved? What have we done so far? Where have we gone? What are we? Where are we at now? If we continue to act the way we are, this is all we're going to get. It's the maximum we're going to get. So if we're trying to understand what our Guru's telling us, where do we need to go? If we want to advance ourselves, what do we need to do? So that's a key thing. If we want to stay as we are, we should carry on as we're doing. If we don't want to stay as we are, we need to change something. So that's the key thing, and like I say, we'll come back to that at the end to try and reconsider. So what's the big deal? Why do I want to stop home for? This thing called ego, this thing called I exist. Why do I want to stop that? Surely that's a fundamental thing. Now, anyone who reads Asa Ki Var, they'll come across this salok inside of there, this body. In ego we come and go. How much aya, how much gaya, how much jammya, how much mua. We die and we're born out of this thing called ego. The reason why we're born is because of this thing called ego. Somehow we've been born because of it. How much ditta, how much laya, how much khatya, how much gaya. We give out of home. We take out of home. We earn it and lose things out of home. Home is satyar, kudiyar, home is pap pun vichar, home is nark surk avatar. Now look at all these things. So we become truthful or liars because of our home. Even our truth, the truth is supposed to be the greatest ultimate cheez in Sikhi. We tell our truth because of our home. We tell our lies because of our home. We do sins because of home, and we do our good actions because of our home. Home is hasse, home is rove, home is pariye, home is tove. We laugh and cry because of this home. Our jokes are based on our home. Our self-pity is based on our home. We become cleansed and become dirty because of this thing called home. So this is it's quite a big deal. This is everything we do in our day-to-day lives. So based around this thing. In home we lose respect, and our social status. In home we become ignorant. In home we become wise, and in home we are stuck in this darkness called Maya. This is our ego that's making us. Maya is the thing that's deluded us away from God. That's what. If we just take that as a term, we'll expand on it further. The things in this world that are deluded us from God, is what we call Maya. In ego, we're stuck in that thing that's deluding us. So what does Guruji say? If we understand this thing called ego, we can reach God's door. So the initial thing is to try and understand it. What is it? By understanding that thing, which is all of these things before that last point there, are all it's a negative. Guruji is saying it's a negative thing. It's a negative force inside of all of us. But if we understand that negative thing, you can reach God's door. Ultimately, this is the thing that every spiritual aspect, every spirit in terms of rishis, munis, all these previous things, they did loads of years of penances and all these things. They couldn't understand God's door. They never got to God's door. Guru Nanak has given us this thing, saying that if you understand what this ego is, you can reach God's door more than any of these sages ever achieved in their whole lives. So it's a very, very, very important subject for everyone. Now this is the interesting thing. What we understand of Hankar, inside of Gurmat, there's 5 evils. So just as a basic recap: Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Hankar. Lust, anger, greed, attachment, and this thing called pride, if you like. Conceit, arrogance. The difference between the arrogance and Homer, this is what we're trying to explain here. So, all those 5 evils are our interaction with the world. That's how we interact. We interact through lust, anger, greed, attachment, and through this thing called arrogance. We become arrogant. It's very different from our Homer. This is the thing we've got to understand. That Hankar is, I believe I'm something inside, deep, inside of my, as a notion. This is the ego is driving those 5 things. This thing called Homer is driving the 5 things. Hankar is different from Homer. Hankar is when I stand here and say, I'm this, I'm that. And out of conceit, I believe I'm better than you. It's my speech to you. It's my interaction with the world. That's what Hankar is. That's the difference between that. Homer is this different thing. Homer is the inner notion that I am something, I have something, or I have done or can do something. I'm capable of doing something outside of God. God is not in this picture. That's what the difference between Homer as a notion and Hankar is. Hankar is, once I believe I can do something, I am something, or I'm capable of doing anything, then my Hankar comes out in terms of my interaction with everyone. It's a very, very big difference between the 2 things. But sometimes it can be regarded as subtle as well. There's just understanding how we understand those 2 things. Now, I think the best way to try and understand all these, try and understand how it's destroying us basically, is to go through real world examples. So, just you need to remember these 3 last points at the bottom for us to start getting a basis for the next slide, the next example. I am something, or I have done something. Sorry, I have something in my belonging. I got ego or this Homer thing because of that. Or I have done or can do, I'm capable of doing something, or have done something in the past. That's my basis for my Homer. Now if you understand that, with a real world example. So, let's say, everyone understands money here, everyone understands salaries and jobs and all the rest of it. I earn £20,000, right? So, that's my thing. I said, I earned that, that's me. I did it. First thing is ego. Now, I had this interesting lecture from it's one of those, life-changing kind of CDs and things. ego, he discussed ego, and he used the acronym kind of edge God out. So I've used that here. So you say ego, first thing that happens is, I earn 20,000, God's out of the equation, he's not in the equation anymore. I earned it, it's my money, I'm capable, this is what I do. So I earn £20,000. Automatically, by me saying that I earn that amount of money, I'm bound and limited. I've made this limited thing inside of this universe of God. God, we're saying God is eternal. God is unlimited. We can count, we can't understand God, we can't estimate Him. Now, I've said that I'm £20,000. So I'm limited now. Inside of this world, I've automatically reduced myself. I'm £20,000. Now, as soon as I say that I'm this thing, comparison is going to come in now. So I'm going to say, okay, I got 20,000. What have these people got now? So my comparisons come in. Now, home janjal, our Guru says, is an entanglement. Watch how the entanglement starts growing. Now I'm going to start comparing now. Now, there's a comparison. I got 20, ooh, he's got 15. I'm better than him. There's an attachment to that thing. Now it says, I don't want to lose that thing. I said, I'm attached to it. It's mine. I should never ever, I shouldn't die any less than that now. Now I've become attached to it. More, one of the 5 evils that's come in. Then I love it. Now this is a duja pao, what Guruji says is another love. Now I start loving that 20,000 pounds. That's more important to me than God is or any spirituality is now. Now I'm 20,000 pounds, that's me. I've got a big massive fear of losing that now. Now my dar is paida ho gaya. This is called pao. Dar, what's that? Dar, but what's it of? We're afraid of losing something that we think we've earned or belongs to us, or that we are. We're afraid of losing it. Now fears come in. That's another negative that's come about just by me saying I earned £20,000. Then I do tell lies to everyone and say I earned it honestly, I did that. If I've done some deception or something to earn that thing, all of a sudden I'm lying now. Now watch what happens when someone else comes about. So someone comes about £40,000. First thing that happens, because of my belief, I'm comparing now. I'm in a comparing mode because I got 20. Now I'm jealous of them now. Automatically, he's got more than me. So jealousy is setting. Another janjal has come forward. Hope and desire. Now I've set my desires now. 40 chahiye. 20 isn't good enough now. Now I need 40. This is called asat mansa. Hope and desire. Now I've set my hope and desires. Guruji says a Gursikh's hope and desire should only be for God and nothing else. My hope and desires come for this worldly thing. Now I hope and I desire that I have 40 now. Badda janjal, more, even more. Friend and an enmity now. Now that person who's got 40, if I want to stand in his circle and look good, he's my friend. Standing in his circle. If I want to stand next to him, then I don't look very good. So he's my enemy in that case. Now friend and foes come forward. Now I become a friend and enemy. But just by saying I'm a 20,000 person, praise. Now all the ustad, I love that. I praise them. Wow, I don't know how they got 40. Well, that's their next level. But then I become greed. So greed, I've got greed now. I want that thing. Now I've set my sights. I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to get that. It doesn't matter what happens. I destroy my family, friends, whatever. I'm going to get that 40,000. Someone less than me comes in. So they've got 10,000. I've got 20, right? Now I want acknowledgement from them. I want them to say to me, I'm better than you. I want them to say that. That's my acknowledgement. I want it. Friend and enemy works here as well. You can say, they're my friend when I stand next to them because I look better than them. They can still, it's a good friend. It's my enemy when I say, well, if I stand by them and someone stands by me and says, you hang around with these low lives. Then you say, oh, edge them out. Become the enemy in that case. Hankar, this is the thing. Now, egos was the other thing where I'm saying I've edged God out. That's my ego. That's my hankar. That's my home, sorry. My home is that God is not in my equation anymore. Hankar is the fact that I'm arrogant now. I say like, you can't, you ain't achieved nothing what I've achieved. So my arrogance is coming out, talking to you, my interaction with you. That's what hankar is. It's the interaction with the dunya. The home is the notion that God isn't in my picture anymore. Let's take that another example on this. So someone thinks they're good looking. It's exactly the same thing. Watch, does home change in any way? I'm sona, बहुत सोना मैं था. I'm not talking about me, by the way, right? as you can see, right? I'm really sona, right? Same thing. God's out the question. Well, God didn't make me. I'm just sona. That's the way it is. I'm bound and limited by that good look. I can't be the best looking person in the world, right? Doesn't matter how good looking I am, innit? Can't be better. Can't be really, really sona. Gurbani describes God as the most sona. He's beautiful. Sona nakijan lamade wala. He's beautiful, innit? We can't be as sona as God, but still, we're bound by that. Then there's comparison. Now, okay, if I'm sona, then I'm going to just look next to the next person and say, and when they're more sona than you, then the same thing happens. Jealousy, thingy, plastic surgery, all that. So, I've got hope and desire for that thing. I'll do anything. I'll praise them, say, look how sona they are. How did they get to that thingy? And all these things I do, lies, I fall in love with that thing. And that's how engrossed I become, but God's out the picture. God's out the picture. Now I hope that's kind of clear to what actually happens with these kind of janjals. Now the next, we'll come back to something similar again. But I just want to move on to a thinking time for you guys. Don't say that. What is home? I don't know. Here's a brilliant quote I saw from Winnie the Pooh, right? So, did you ever stop to think and forget to start again? So you forgot to think, stopped to think, but then we've just stopped thinking, right? So I thought that was an interesting thing. But just for the things we've been discussing now, when we do Nindya, I want you. Well, we won't go to Nindya first. In 1699, Guruji stood on the stage and he said, I want a head, I want a sir of a kursi. Now, everyone got scared. At the moment, if I ask you when the notion of fear comes into your head, think about it. I want you to think. I'm not going to ask you. Think. If Guruji stood here and said, he didn't ask you, I want your head, he's going to remove it now. Within the next minute, he's going to remove it. What have you got the fear of losing? That's what we need to think about it in your head yourself. What have you got the fear of losing? You've got the fear of losing what? Your body? Your good looks? Your 20,000? Your nyane? Your family? What do you fear of losing? And then if you understand what you're fearing of losing, you can see where you edged God out. God doesn't belong there in that thing, what you're fearing of losing. That's the first thing, first question. Second question, think back to the last person you did Nindya of. Hopefully it wasn't today, right? But when you slandered them, you did Nindya of them, right? I want you to think about it in your head. Let's go back to that picture. You know, the Nindyas come over there. We do Ustad, which is praise, Nindya. So we praise the people who we believe are better than us. The Nindya of the ones who are lower. That switches as well. It switches. So you've got the same problem. I can't pin that down onto anything. This is just a roadmap. That all changes. Just depends what your object, what you're looking at, how you're perceiving things. The last person you did Nindya of, think about them. Go back into internally, what was that thing inside you that you're comparing them with? Because there must be a comparison. For you to do Nindya of them, you must be comparing yourself to them somehow. To say, for instance, if I say, oh banda na bolda bahut hai, sir kha liya mera, hai na? Now that I believe inside that I don't speak that much. But that's my personal belief. It doesn't mean that that's the case. Now I want you to see, if you did Nindya of someone, say that person this, that, what do you actually believe that you are inside of yourself? Hope and desire. Think of that part of that one. Asa mansa. What have you set yourself in your head? What was your goal for the next 10 years, 15 years? What have you set your hope and desire for? Is it anything other than God? Say, I want to see God, I want to do something and, reach some spiritual state or something? Or are you saying, I want that 40,000? Or I want that car, I want that house, I want this. What have you set your asa mansa to? So we just need to think about, if you set that, think about what the home is inside. What's that little thing that you've bound yourself to? And that's what your home is. As you should have a good understanding of what that thing is then. Now the roots of Home. In Sukhmani Sahib, there's an Ashtapadi that comes, about, it says, Kam, Krodh, Aralob Mo, Bin Sajai Ahang Mev, Nanak Prabh Sharanag Tikar Prasad Gurudev. Now, in that, there's loads of things Guruji says that we should be appreciative of God of. And if we appreciate Him, 5 evils go away. The 5 evils we were discussing before, Guruji says the 5 evils go away. Bin Sajai Ahang Mev as well. Hangta, the Home, the Hankar, it goes, it disappears. Now Guruji says, if you've got these things, I want you to look at all these things now. If you know the things we were just talking about, assess yourself and see what you do in terms of these things. Guruji is saying, eating and drinking, decorating your body, putting scent on your body. He said you should be appreciative of God of all these things. Healthy body, have you got a healthy body? Do you appreciate God for giving you that? The fact that you got a human body, you are Sona, you got good looks. You appreciate God for that. That you have sight, everything that you've seen. You got hearing, everything that you've heard. Are you hearing it out to feed some internal evil thing? Or are you hearing it saying, oh, I'm appreciative of God that I can hear, I can see. That I have speech, I can talk. I have my hands to do work. All these things, you can have ego because of these things, and we'll discuss these because some of these are difficult to understand initially. Good family. If you're from a good social background, you've got a good family. You're the best at something. When we become good at something, when we're the best at something. It could be anything. You could be good at football. You could be good at talking. You could be good at doing speeches. You could be good at kirtan. You could be, even the positive things in your life, you could destroy them. We totally destroy them because of what we think internally. Your palaces and houses, land, gardens and wealth. All these things are janjal, these are called entanglements. Your vehicles. In olden days, there's horses and elephants. Whoever had those, nowadays, baddi gaddi are the top blokes, right? Worldly honor, self-respect. All these things lead to Home. Sins hidden, uncovered. Well, Guruji hides our sins. Look how many of our sins. A lot of people, you can look around. Do people even know what Puttikam we do? We don't, they're hidden. Guruji still protected us. And even those we can have Home because of those. We hide those and then we say, she'll make ourselves look good. You're a pig, Guruji says it's pig. That from bottom we say, oh, this guy is really, next level again, like I say. But then desire is fulfilled because Guruji given you everything that you wanted. You can have Home because of that. You forget God. Righteous life, living a Amritari life is righteous. We can get baddi Home because of that. We're better than everyone else now. We're charitable. We're religious. We've got highly spiritual status. Famous, and we've got prestige. And all our affairs are resolved. Guruji does all these things for us, and we get Home because of it at the end. If we appreciate it, look at some of these things. One of the things we're asking, Tanji Singh, we're having a little debate about how can eating be Home? If you're eating, how can that be Home? Sometimes we think Home is, that thing where we're saying something or comparing my food. Oh, I had this food and you had McDonald's, so my food's better than yours, and that's the only way the comparison you get. It's not. It's more than that. The fact that if you're eating, how many? I don't want to raise the hands, but just as a question: do we even say a Shabad before we eat? Do we even remember God before we eat? We don't even do that much, right? So even when we're eating, we got Home because we forgot God. So God's out of the question. That food's mine. I want that food. That's for me. God, even down to your eating, down to your cozy bed. One of the things in there, you got a bed that you sleep on at night time. Before you go to sleep, do you say thank you to God? Do you do soila even at night time? Do you try to remember God at night? See, all these things that they can lead to Home. They're the roots of Home. Now here's a very interesting subject. I don't think this is this is a topic on its own. I'm not going to even try and attempt to say that this is a conclusive thing about Home and Maya. One of the Shabds by Guru Amar Das ji. Kaivari comes in Hukamnama as well. Maya mamata mohani jin vena danta jag khaya. Without dand, without teeth, this thing ate the whole world up. Now, I don't want to say this is totally separate topic. For me, Maya isn't that like a Satan thing is in Christianity or in Islam. Everyone reads an answer, they'll understand, A Maya, jit har visra, mo ubjaya pao duja laya. Now, Maya is, in terms of Maya and Home, the Home we just described, Guruji says Maya is a very similar thing. It is the same thing, effectively. Now, here's the next shabd that kind of like puts a seal on, or almost a seal on it. Like I say, it's a different topic, it needs more investigation. I haven't investigated enough. So I'm not going to go too far, but I'm just trying to show you there's a link between Maya and Home, a very, very big link. Home mamata mohni, manmukhanu gai khai. So the Maya was a mohni, and Home is a mohni as well. The whole thing inside, we run after that thing, whatever it wants to do. That's enticing us all the time as well. The two things of it, when you get to the deep, deep level of it, the two things are not inseparable. One of the things of trying to make us understand something like Maya is, Maya has, what we say, a home has an external projection, and home is a perception as well. So one thing is what we're letting out, another thing is what we're taking in. So for instance, if we split this in there half, that half, we basically say both of you make villages, right? Make a town, and put whatever you want in it. Now that half goes off and makes nightclubs, McDonald's, everything under the sun. This side, they might go off and make Gurukar, education centers of spirituality, beautiful charitable places, help the poor, the needy, right? The projection of your home created a Maya in that pind of these Puttegam. The projection of their home made Maya in their pind of what we call Maya. We say if that was a projection of home, if we did it in home, that is, then it would make good things. And then if you switch between pinds, you go to their village, you're so used to bad things, even the good thing in there, you're going to ignore that. If you're used to running after women on this side, even the good women on that side, you're going to think that they're bad. That's your projection. Look what you've made. Them, they're so good, they're going to go on that side, they're going to say, I think Maya bahut hai. There's so much Maya here. It's because of what the people have projected out. We blame God for that. God made this thing like Maya and all that kind of stuff. Look one of the things I cover at the end is that how much of our footprint, nowadays they've got a thing called carbon footprint. How much you're destroying the dunya with the green and all the rest of it. What's our home footprint? How much have we destroyed this dunya with our desires? How bad have we made it? Look at all the bad things we're doing. Are we destroying it? So I said that's a very, very brief thing. This is a topic on its own. We're just trying to show you that there's a very, very massive relationship between those two things. Now, home versus naam. Everyone discusses this thing, says, home, and naam, you can't do both things. And why? Why can't you do them? Why can't we do those both things? If something's done in home, why can't naam exist there as well? Why can't if I say I exist and still say why can't I do those two things? Now hopefully we'll try to get to the bottom of that with this next slide. In home, the first thing is I feel I'm existing. I exist. I'm capable. Those three things we discussed. I am something, I can do something, I have something. There are three things. I exist. Second thing in home is you forget God. God's out of the question. You're attached to a temporary thing. That thing is not infinite. Only God's infinite. So anything you're attached to it must be finite. You've got a love for a worldly thing. It's limited, and you've got hope and desire only for something in the world. There's a difference between that and naam. Naam is a comparison on the right hand side. This is the translation of the Panki that we always use. Home naave naal virod hai, doe na vase ek thai. The two things can't sit in one place at a time. They're enemies. The thing called me and naam, they're both enemies. Now look at the comparison. This is a side-by-side comparison of the two things. In home, I feel I exist. In naam, nothing exists but God. In home, I forget God. Naam is the remembrance of God. So it's the total opposite. In home, I'm attached to a temporary thing. In naam, I'm attached to an eternal thing. In home, I love the world. And in Naam I love God, only God. In Home I love a limited thing that's going to end. In Naam I love an unlimited thing that can never end. In Home I have a hope and desire for something in this dunya. In Naam I have a hope and desire only for God. Asa, Mansa, only for God, nothing else. The two things are mutually exclusive, they can't sit next to each other. They're totally different. The Naam of the Lord is the support of my mind and body. I have burnt away the poison of ego. It burns it. It can't sit next to it. It's the most important thing for our lives. Naam, that's the most important thing. Is there such a thing called good home then? Can home be good? There's an interesting shabds in Gurbani where Guruji says home and main. And here's one of them. हाँ आया दूरों चल के मैं तक्की तो शरनाई जियो मैं आशा रखी चित में मेरा सबो दुख गवाए जियो. Here the home is mentioned here, but this home has changed. Now instead of saying I've got a hope and desire for my £40,000 in our example or whatever it was, my hope and desire now is to only ever meet, that God is going to come and meet me one day. My home, what have I achieved? In terms of what have you achieved? If you ask yourself, what have I achieved in my life? In this Pankti, Guruji is saying, all I've achieved is I've come duron. I've come in life form, I ain't got there yet. That's all I've done. And my only hope and desire is that God comes and meets me one day. My dukh, what's my dukh in then? My dukh is my attachment to that dunya. That's my dukh. I've made it into big massive pain for myself because the pain of rebirth isn't going to stop from that. Now I don't know how I'm doing with time and stuff, but I'm winding away from it now. So what have we got to do? In terms of changing our thinking, what do we have to change? Here's some 4 sloks from Kabir ji. Kabir, garv na kijiye, chaam lapete hard, haver upar shatr tar, te fun tarni guard. Don't be proud of your body, first thing. Don't be proud of that thing. What are you so proud of? What we achieved in that body? E srira mereya, is jag mein aake kya dud karam kumaya. What have you done in your body? What have we actually done? Don't be proud of it. Kabirji says, there's all these people you should carry canopies over their head and wave a jar over them because they're underground now, they're buried because you walk over them. Because that's where those are. Kabir garv na kijiye, ucha dekh awaaz, aaj kaal poye letna, upar jame kaas. Don't be proud of your mansions. What you achieve by making these mansions where God doesn't exist, that's a putana kar. That's what Guruji says. That's where ghosts exist. There ain't nothing else there. Aaj kal poy letna. You will be finished one day. All those things above them, grass starts growing. How many houses have been built here? How many houses have been built somewhere else? How many bodies have been buried there? Grass grows over them. The temporary things. कबीर गर्व ना कीजिए रंक ना हंसिए कोई अजो सो नाव समुद्र में क्या जानो क्या होए. Don't ever laugh at anyone who's less fortunate than you. If someone's less, the thing where we wanted acknowledgement from them before, don't laugh at, don't even consider. Kabirji says, your boat's out at sea. Consider your life, your boat's out at sea. You don't know when the storm is going to come and it's going to take that boat. You don't know when that's going to happen. Because your boat's out at sea now. Because you don't know, something could come and drown you in a minute. So what are you laughing at someone lower than you for? You don't even know what's happening in your own life. Kabir garv na kijiye dehi dekh surang aajgal taj jahonge jo kanchuri poyang. Don't be proud of your beauty. This thing Kabirji says is like just a snake. You know snake? You might see it on the wildlife record. Their skin sheds, doesn't it? They shed their skin and they carry on. Then they shed their skin again later on. He says that's what your beauty is. Your inner soul is going to move on. You're going to shed this outer body. Why are you so proud of that for? How many have you had already? Here's a deep question. How many bodies have we already had? We don't even know. 84 lakh juna, 8.4 million births and all the rest of it. We don't even know, like the snake, it's been shedding its skin. How many skins have we shed? We don't even know yet. Now this is a key thing we've got to drill in, is that only a Shabad and now can destroy Homer. Even if you look at that map thing we developed, we said, oh yeah, I understand my Homer now I'll stop it. You can't stop it. Because even though you'll be aware of it, you even try it. You'll be aware of it, you'll say that, I realize I'm doing that, I'm jealous of that person, all that. But you can't stop it. The thing won't stop. Internally, you'll recognize it. The key thing for this, everyone to understand from this lecture is, understand it. Just see where it is. See when it's doing it to you. If you do that much, that's a lot. The only thing that could destroy it though, is what our Guru's path is. Naam Japana, Shabad, Gurbani de, we live our lives according to those things. And this is a very interesting, in Gurmat, making yourself lower makes you higher. Aapas ko jo jane nicha, so ganiye sabte ucha. If a person really in their mind says, no, I'm lower than everyone, I'm lower than them, according to Gurmat, you become higher. You become highest, higher than high. You become like God, like. To become lower is higher in good. Now we made this Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. We made this into this hello. When we say Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, it's like hello, na? Hi. Don't you think? Do you think we say like hi when we say Fateh? I want you to look at this example again. If I earn £20,000, and I say Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh on that thing, then the Khalsa, if I reckon I'm Khalsa, then I belong to God, right? If I've got something and my victory is something, it's God's. So whose £20,000 is it? It's a Khalsa's £20,000, and it's Waheguru's £20,000. If I say that, then I'm not bound and limited. If I say I exist, if I say it's only God, it's only Waheguru, it's only the Khalsa, I don't exist, I'm nothing, what's my comparison to? I haven't got anything to compare to now. I've destroyed a whole load of things. I earned it, it belongs to God. I'm not attached to it, because how can I be attached to it? It's God's. My love for it is only for God. If it's Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, I'm only saying that because it's Waheguru's. So I love God, I don't love my own thing. All that comparison thing, all that fear of losing it, what am I fearful of now? It's God's. If God's interested, the fear is not in for me. God has to look after it. What do we need to lie about? So all this comparison stuff is all finished. It doesn't happen anymore. And that's a beautiful cheese that Guruji has given us. He gives us a homemade destroying thing in our Fateh. Absolutely amazing thing. That we haven't understood that. I say, we made it into a high-buy thing. That's not what it is. There's something inside of that. That if I see my brother here, I say, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, and I've still got comparison, what's my Fateh? If I'm still saying I'm better than him, I say Fateh to him, but I'm still better. I'm only saying I look good with you guys, right? So I'll say Fateh. When I go over there, I'm not going to say Fateh to them, like they're kind of a bit advanced than me. So what's in our Fateh then? Our Fateh is nothing. Our Fateh is comparison. Our Fateh is home. We destroyed the main cheez that Guru's given us as we called it a greeting. I don't think it's a greeting. It's a home destroyer and builds the unity of the universe. That's what it's for. To join us back into God. Same with that good looks. That was the second example there. If you're Dehi Soni, you got beautiful Sris or beautiful looks. If it's Waheguru's and the Khalsa's Waheguru's, then what's it got to do with you? So this is an awesome thing that Guru's given us. With this I'm going to conclude here and come back to where we started. Whatever you hold in your mind will tend to occur in your life. If you continue to believe as you've always believed, you will continue to act as you've always acted. If you continue to act as you've always acted, you'll continue to get what you've always gotten. So your karma is going to get built up again, die again, you come back again, same old, same old. You'll be lucky to get Manas Janam. Guruji is very clear about that. We'll be very, very, very lucky to get human form again. Very lucky. This is the janjal that Guru's talking to us about. Guru says we're caught up in a janjal, entanglements. The entanglements were all created by ourselves because we said, I am something, I have something, or I can do something. Now this home footprint thing, I'm hoping that we can all look back on ourselves now to some degree and say, well, where is it destroying my life? In terms of a home footprint into the dunya, when I leave this dunya, what have I left here? Have I left it just home? What Kabirji says that garv na kijiye, my manchas are all going to be on the floor, my body's going to be there, there's going to be grass growing over it, and I've shed my atma, my body's there like the snake skin, just left behind. What did I leave here? What have I attained? Possibly I haven't attained anything. You might have gone even lower, you might have got less. So that's I ain't achieved anything of that myself, and that's not just nimrata, the kind of same old stuff. This is the most ultimate. This is God. But this is an okkha subject. It's very difficult for us to try and understand it. But at the same time, Guruji is saying the ultimate cheez is if our understanding, if we achieve it based on the second slide, understanding ego can lead you to God's door. That's where everyone's trying to go, right? Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki